Alrighty.
At this time, I'd like to call the regularly scheduled committee of the whole meeting to order. Let the record reflect it is Tuesday, September 5th, 2023. Village clock has it at 6:01 p.m. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Brady?
Here.
Trustee Brennan?
Present.
Trustee Mahoney?
Present.
Trustee Mueller?
Here.
Trustee Shaw?
Present.
Trustee Sullivan? Absent. President Glass?
Present. Good, we have quorum. At this time, I'd like to consider approval of the minutes of the committee of the whole meeting held on August 15th, 2023. Is there such a motion?
I'll make that motion. I'll second.
Thank you, Trustee Mueller. Thank you, Trustee Mahoney. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes. Very good, that motion will carry. Item number 4. Discuss lease agreement with TN's HS LLC, 17329 Oak Park Avenue. Pat?
Yep, just as you have in your packet before you, the licensing lease agreement for TN's HS LLC. We all know that TN's, the owner of TN's is retiring September 30th. Based on some of the factors that we know that demolition potentially won't be starting until the spring, and in consideration of the employees at TN's that are currently there, we thought it would be in the best interest to keep the bar operating. So we have a vendor that will come in and operate that bar until March or April next year, when we decide when that demolition will happen. So that's why we're doing it, in consideration also of keeping the name out there and the historic purpose of that bar and what it meant to the community. We want to keep it going till the end.
Very good. I agree, Pat. Is there any questions or comments from the board? I don't see any on this side.
No.
There are none. Is there a motion to move item number 4 to the village board meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Trustee Mueller. Thank you, Trustee Brady. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Very good. That motion carries. Item number 5, discuss a Class A liquor license for TN's HS LLC, 17329 Oak Park Avenue. Mary, you want to take that, or?
Number 5?
Yeah.
Yeah, just petitioner TN's HS LLC. They are seeking a Class A liquor license associated with the former location as TN's, not an AB1, just an A.
Got it. Okay. Very good. Any questions from the board? See none. Is there a motion to move item number 5 to the village board meeting?
So moved.
Thank you, Trustee Mahoney.
Second.
Second. Thank you, Trustee Shaw. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Roll call for item 5. Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Very good. That motion carried. Item number 6, discuss First Amendment to the Tax Increment Financing Redevelopment Agreement between the Village of Tinley Park and Brixmore IA, Tinley Park Plaza LLC. Dan?
Yeah, this is basically continuing on the phase 2 of the Brixmore redevelopment, the Tinley Park Plaza redevelopment. So the first phase was a little over 21 million. Phase 2 will be about 16 million, so they're looking to add on a little bit more of the incentive that's in line with all of our incentive policies. The one request that'll change kind of the phase 1 request is that they are asking to basically be able to convert the 1.9 in sales tax to be able to become TIP eligible now that there's enough expenses there. So that's kind of the one change, the one tweak they're making with phase 1. Obviously the question that comes up with this a lot is the Amazon Fresh that hasn't opened. they've worked with them, they've kind of done, Brixmor has done everything they've needed to do and being a good partner with us and trying to get them open there. And unfortunately, it's kind of unforeseen that you have somebody spend millions of dollars and not open, so there's nothing they can do to really force it. They're trying to stay on top of them and get as much communication as they can, just the same as we are. But overall, they're still trying to improve the property, increase the leasing on the property, and make for an overall good project. So this is just kind of wrapping up phase 2 and completing that shopping center overall.
Perfect. Thank you, Dan. Any questions or comments?
Oh, they're doing a great job over there. Can't wait to see them finish phase 2 as well.
I'd just like to clarify a point on this, Dan. I apologize, I meant to get in touch with you earlier today. I'm going to bring it on you, but my understanding of this, if I'm reading it correctly, is that this phase 1 change is essentially to not penalize them for Amazon not opening. So this is not additional, this is what they would have gotten had Amazon opened.
Correct. Phase 1 didn't have enough tip eligible expenses, so that we basically did the sales tax, but because it was sales tax, we wanted it tied to the grocer. So it's taking that off now that there's enough tip eligible overall that they can basically convert it at the end. They're still pushing, if for some reason Amazon doesn't go in there, they've been on a record of saying they own shopping centers with grocery stores, so they're gonna be pursuing one as fast as they can. And yes, it's money they spent on the overall center, so we're just not penalizing them for Amazon's choice.
Right. That was my understanding. I just want to make sure that that was clear.
Correct.
We're not giving them anything extra.
Correct.
Very good. Thank you for that clarification. Thank you for the question there, Trustee Shaw. Is there any other questions or comments? There are none. Is there a motion to item number 6 to the village board?
So moved.
Thank you, Trustee Shaw. Is there a second? Second. Thank you, Trustee Mahoney. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Roll call for item 6, trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Robinson?
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Very good. That motion will carry. Item number 7, discuss Class 7B application for Lenny's Gas and Wash, 18301 LaGrange Road. Dan?
Sure. So this is a Cook County reclass that would lower their property taxes. As I think we've seen with any kind of new construction in Cook County, you essentially need these to be able to get be able to offset the high cost of kind of doing new construction. Particularly, this site has quite a bit of engineering feats, which is why it's been vacant this long on a good location. Access is also a challenge on that site, so we're just looking to support them with a Cook County reclass.
Very good. Thank you, Dan. Questions or comments from this side? No. Any comments from this side? There are none. Is there a motion to move item number 7 to the village board?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Trustee Mueller. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Trustee Brady. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Roll call for item 7, trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Robinson?
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Very good. The motion will carry. Item number 8, discuss defaulted mortgage and vacant property registration contract update. Dan?
Yeah, so we're looking for, we had a vacant property registration program that kind of helps the enforcement, collection of vacant property and defaulted mortgage registration in the village. It was called ProChamps for short. They kind of went out of business, and a lot of communities were just kind of left not having anybody do this. There's really kind of 2 other companies that do this. One is Hera Property Registration Solutions. They're kind of the most well-known. That seems like most communities are picking up. They basically do exactly what ProChamps had done, and so this really helps us track again vacant properties in the village to make sure we have ownership contact information. They tend to become our property maintenance issues, so this really helps us stay on top of those. And again, they will do the tracking, the notices, and enforcement if we need it as well.
Okay.
we would be bringing this to the next board meeting with a potential contract with Hera.
Okay.
That's what we're recommending.
Very good. Any questions from the side?
No, I think we had a lot of success with pro champs. It's unfortunate they went under. Looks like the rationale for picking Hera is the correct one, so thanks for bringing this to our attention.
Any other questions down here? Or none? Is there a motion to move this to the board meeting on, what is it, the 19th? That's the correct date?
Yeah.
19th?
I'll happily make that motion. I'll second.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Mahoney. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Roll call for item 8, trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Very good, that motion will carry. Item number 9, discuss purchase of 5 vehicles for the Police Department Crime Suppression Unit. Chief?
Thank you, trustee. With the 24 budget, we were allowed to add 5 more officers with the intent of forming the street crime suppression unit. The vehicles were budgeted and included in the cost of these officers. We have been having great difficulty finding vehicles. We finally are going to try to go through local vendors, not to exceed $42,000 per vehicle, because right now, we put a hold on a vehicle through the vendor, and they would sell it if they could. So we need to purchase now. If you're aware, there's the United Auto Workers are probably going to go on strike. It'll make it even more difficult to get vehicles. So we didn't put down what the vehicles are, so we could keep it covert, but they won't exceed $42,000, and I hope that you can move this to the board.
Very good, thank you, Chief. I think we've had some great success with the crime suppression unit, so I think this is,
I was hoping for like a Batmobile. Something along those lines, but I think it was.
He said he wasn't going to disclose that. So we don't know.
The night when
very good.
I have,
Go ahead, Mr. Brady.
Chief, these off-the-lot ones, will they have the engine that our guys are usually using? You know, we're just gonna, we usually have souped-up engines.
No, they'll just be regular vehicles. Covert vehicles cannot be involved in pursuits or anything like that, so it's not necessary.
Okay, so it's not needed. Thank you. Yeah.
DeLorean. Is there a motion to move item number 9 to the village board?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, thanks.
Next.
Thank you, Trustee Brady. Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Thank you, Trustee Mueller. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Roll call for item 9, trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Very good, that motion will carry. Item number 10, discuss the purchase of 6 Motorola APX XE portable radios for the fire department through the Cook County Emergency Telephone System Board. Chief?
Yes, thank you. In the current fiscal budget, we have replacement of 6 portable radios that have probably reached their life expectancy of over 12 years old. We were able to get a special pricing through Cook County contract pricing, which actually was able to come about almost $6,000 under our $80,000 budgeted amount. These radios are 6 of probably 32 that need to be replaced, so we're doing a little at a time. And we also currently have a grant in through our Natus 24 that might allow us to pick up a few extra there too. So this will be a good start though on replacing these portable radios. These radios actually tie in to our computer for our incident command tracking and devices as the firefighters are inside the building, so. Just looking for approval.
Very good, thank you, Chief. Any questions? Seeing none. Is there a motion to move item number 10 to the village board meeting?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Trustee Brady. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Trustee Mahoney. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Roll call for item 10, trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Very good. The motion will carry. Item number 11, discuss the purchase of 3 Police Department Motorola all-band consulate radios through the emergency telephone board system for the 911 dispatch center. What's on? John?
Yes, thank you, sir. If you recall, a couple months ago, we requested for purchase of replacement 800 megahertz system radios for the police department. This is for the dispatch center radios to come up with the availability of any of the tools that are offered by those portables to communicate with them. This also utilizes the Cook County co-op pricing. We have $100,000 budgeted, and with the Motorola cost and the contingency for programming and other peripheral items, we asked for approval of $43,784.28 to Cook County ETSB, which still keeps us approximately $50,000 under budget.
Very good. Thank you, John. Any questions on number 11? Police Department radios?
Like on their budget.
Very good. Agreed. Anything else down here? Your motion to move item number 11 to the village board.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, trustee Mueller. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, trustee Brady. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Roll call for item 11, trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Very good. The motion carries. Item number 12, discuss contract with Crown Industries LTD for a 3,000-gallon above-ground Jetta heliport self-fueling system. John?
Yes, sir. Thank you again. This is for a bid that we put out for the upgrades that are being done at the helipad. One of the items that the state grant was not going to cover was the actual fueling center. So we budgeted and bid out this 3,000-gallon Jet A fuel center separately. We had 2 bidders. The low one was Crown Industries at an amount of $279,690, which was under the engineer's estimate of $300,000, requesting committee and board approval for approval of the contract with the down payment amount of $95,578.50. This specific manufacturer is requiring a down payment amount prior to manufacture to secure their efforts and materials. So we're looking for, it's not standard practice, but we are looking for committee and board approval for that down payment amount.
Very good. Thank you, John. Any questions? There are none. See none down here. Is there a motion to move item number 12 to the village board meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, trustee Mueller. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, trustee Mahoney. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Roll call for item 12, trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Very good. That motion will carry. Item number 13. Discuss renewal contract with Best Technology Systems for Police Department shooting range maintenance. John?
Yes, sir. This is an ongoing contract, year 2 of 3, with the contractor Best Technology Systems. We've utilized them for quite some time now. Again, as a renewal of a contract, we are bringing it in front of you for approval at the amount of $18,360.
Very good. Thank you, John. Any questions? There are none. Is there a motion to move item number 13 to the village board?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Thank you, trustee Mueller. Thank you, trustee Brady. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Roll call for item 13, trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Very good. Motion carries. Item number 14, discuss contract with PT Farrow Construction for the Kimberly Heights Drainage Improvements, Phases 1 and 2. John?
Yes, we have broke up the drainage improvements throughout the subdivision of Kimberly Heights into multiple phases. The first 2 that we have designed and put out to bid came back with 8 bidders. The lowest bid being from PT Farrow Construction Company out of Joliet in the amount of $1,114,626.25. We have a contingency added to it, as with most of our construction projects, and we're looking for the approval from committee and board for the amount as stated.
Very good. Thank you, John. Any questions from from the committee, expenditure of funds? There are none on this side. There are none. Is there a motion to move item number 14 to the village board?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, trustee Mueller. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, trustee Mahoney. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Roll call for item 14, trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Very good. That motion will carry. Item number 15. Discuss the water rates study. Pat, Hannah?
We'll kick this one off. Thank you, trustee Brennan. So before we get started, I just wanted to say that this has been a very lengthy and involved process. So Pat and I really appreciate the help of all the staff that's been involved, and especially to Burke Engineering, who completed the water rate study for us. They do have some representatives here today if there's any questions that they can help with. We also wanted to thank the elected officials. We offered to sit down and review the rates of the study with all of you individually. Those were really good conversations with a lot of good feedback, so that was very helpful. And based on those conversations, we wanted to pull together the PowerPoint for tonight and the recommendations to discuss. And before really getting into it, just want to preface it that there's a lot of moving pieces that go into the water system and the functions as a whole, as you're all aware. So we did our best to make sure that the information is apples to apples comparison, but just keep in mind all communities do have different billing cycles, tiers, fees, different burdens on their systems based on their population, et cetera. So we tried to break it down in a way that hopefully makes as much sense possible based on our needs. So with that being said, by means of introduction, as you all know, we're a part of the Oak Lawn Regional Water System, which receives water from Chicago. And other than the automatic increases which occur in June and January, from Chicago and Oak Lawn's pass-through increases, we haven't increased our water rate since 2014, so it's been nearly 10 years. And since 2014, the CPI has increased nearly 30%, so with that being said, it's easy to imply that our costs of maintaining and operating the system have significantly increased while our rates have not. So unfortunately, this has led the village to deferring major capital improvements, drawing down on cash reserves of the water funds to fund emergency repairs, and ultimately transferring in money from the operating fund so that way we can fund the necessary projects and improvements when at the end of the day, our water funds should truly be enterprise funds that are self-sufficient. So just a little bit about the funds themselves. We do have 5 separate water funds. Of those water funds, you could see here from the fiscal year 24 budget that all of the expenses for each fund they are more than our revenues, when in all reality that should be the reverse. So again, you can see that we're having to find other ways to supplement our expenses, and these funds aren't operating as true enterprise funds. So drilling in just a little bit closer, this is taking a look at our water retail fund. You could see at the very bottom, it's about 17 million per the current fiscal year just to have this fund operate. So you can see that there's a lot of different costs that go into it. Our system contains an elevated storage tank, ground level reservoirs, pumping stations, and approximately 270 miles of water main. So it isn't anything that's cheap by any means. Another thing that we wanted to point out is that we do have an aging water system. Water main should be replaced every 40 to 60 years, and you can see, I know it's a little hard to see these graphs, but if you look closely, a lot of our water main is from the 70s and 80s. And so the first, the chart on the top up here shows just the age and the percentage of the water main that is that age. So if you look at 1970s, for example, about 23% of our town has water main from the 1970s. And then when you look on the graph below, you can see where a majority of our water main breaks are coming from. And that, again, when you look at 1970s, that's about 36% of our water main breaks. So it just goes to show that by looking at this and the age of our infrastructure, we have a lot of needs. In all reality, in an ideal world, we should be funding probably about $5 million of water main replacement every year. And in the last several fiscal years, I think the most, we're hovering at about 1.5 to 2 mil is all that we've been able to really fund. So in terms of process, like mentioned, the last water rate study, it was conducted in 2009. It was a 5-year plan that went through 2014, and we haven't had any increases since then. So in 2022, last year, we engaged with Burke Engineering to conduct a water rate study. And here we are, you know, nearly a year later, but it really is a lengthy process. There's a lot that goes into it. There's the review of our current water funds, our existing water model, our 10-year capital plan, and future needs. And then again, when you're looking at the different communities, there's a lot of different comparable pieces to look at to try to make it as apples to apples comparison as possible. So with that being said, the water rate study was very informative and thorough, and ultimately it confirmed a lot of what we already knew. But since then, staff has also spent a significant amount of time looking into it because we know it's never favorable to recommend increases. Unfortunately, prior administrations haven't taken this on. So we know this is a tough decision and not an easy ask by the board, you know, in any means. We're not naive to that. But I think this board also has been very responsible and knows it's important to maintain the health of not just our water system, but our village finances as well. So with no rate increases since 2014, the rising cost of infrastructure, labor and operating costs, continued development in town, increasing the demand on system, aging infrastructure, we have various recommendations that we want to touch on.
Yeah, just want to add to that too, you know, talking with Public Works Department, you know, with the acquisition by the Park District with the Mental Health Center, you know, over the years, we've been looking at the dollars that would be taken for a lot of the infrastructure replacement that would happen out there. And current numbers are as close to $70 million in utility infrastructure, with over 50 million of that being water. So that impact will directly affect, you know, the residents here and our system that we have to account for.
And none of that's even reflected in this study, given that's all been a more recent thing that's come up, so. So some of the things we looked at include changing from a 2-tier rate system to a 4-tier rate system, changing from quarterly to bi-monthly billing cycles, implementing increases for fiscal year 24 per the water rate study recommendations, adjusting some base fees, and implementing a bi-monthly administration fee. So just touching on these each a little bit. While the study did provide options for a 5-year plan, the spread of the 5 years was nearly 60%. And while that number ultimately reflects the true needs of the system, staff feels that the combination of the recommendations we've pulled together will put our water funds back on track while still not placing too much of a financial burden on residents. So the main recommendation includes implementing a one-time rate increase, moving from a quarterly to bi-monthly cycle, and moving from 2 tiers to 4 tiers. So these changes will help the water systems and the funds in a variety of ways. Ultimately, adding new tiers and moving to a more frequent billing cycle helps keep costs low for the low-end users, enhances our water conservation structure, and should be easier to manage financially instead of being hit with a larger quarterly bill, while also helping with cash flow on our end a little bit. Moving on, again, this is kind of digging in just a little bit into the increase itself. I'm sure most residents would ask, you know, what does this mean for me? So this graphic in particular kind of breaks it down and shows, you know, that if you were, say, in the 8,000 gallon tier and we moved to a bi-monthly, you could see it would be about an $8 increase per month. This was a graphic that was pulled together based on the comparable communities around us. And just want to highlight that since this has been completed, Orland Park and Mokina both have increased their water rates, so that's not reflected in this. So where Tinley is kind of circled right now, we are, you know, still kind of hovering below after those other communities have increased their rates as well. So, I mean, when you look across the board, you have Elmhurst at the top at about $295 per average bill, and that's for 11,000 gallons of consumption, whereas Tinley, again, even with the recommended increases, is at about $150 per average bill, and still on the very low end in regards to other communities. And then the last recommendation we have is to implement an administrative fee. So A lot of other municipalities do have this. It's something that would be new for us. I was talking with Brad today, and it was back in 2009 when we first added just base fees in general. There is a cost, just to simply have the system available. And outside of infrastructure costs, there is a large cost of doing business as it relates to the administration of our systems and shut-offs and, the behind the scenes that our staff partake in. So this is another recommendation we have as well. So I know that's a lot put into a short presentation. We are looking for feedback. Again, I know we've had some conversation. Again, we do appreciate, we know that it's never easy to come up here and ask the board to increase things like water rates, especially in today's day and age, but we do feel pretty confident that what we've all kind of talked through and worked through will help get our funds back on track to where they need to be moving forward. Because if we don't take action sooner than later, it's only going to be a larger increase and a bigger burden on the community as a whole down the road. So with that being said, we would be looking to potentially make these changes as early as December or January. Would take staff a lot of time behind the scenes to kind of prepare. We'd want to make sure that we educate the community and inform them of the changes that would be going into effect, as it would largely impact nearly every user. So that's where we're at with this, and I'll kind of just turn it over if there's any questions or anything that the board would like to discuss.
Very good, Hannah. Excellent presentation, appreciate that. I think everyone could all agree that this is probably the most important thing that we do as a village, so this and public safety is two of our utmost, priorities, so I'll open it up to anyone else that wants to make any comments, but I know this has been something we've been talking about for a while. It's extremely necessary, so start down there. Any comments from you, Mr. Brady?
Just that we knew this was coming in past administrations. So, they kept kicking it down the can down the alley, and now it's come to us that we have to take care of it.
No, I completely agree, and thanks for incorporating a lot of the feedback in already, Hannah, so I think it looks good.
Madam Clerk, anything to add?
No.
Mr. Mayor?
So that one slide you were on where it showed what all the other towns were, right there. So before this, we were below Orland and Mokina, and after an increase, we still will be below them, correct?
Correct, yes. We'd still be hovering basically where we currently are. So there's the box that's circled that happened before the other towns increases. Where we are now is basically where we'll end up back with the other towns increases, so.
And so there's no surrounding towns that will be below us, correct?
Correct.
Will still be the lowest, okay. Thank you.
Where are Mokina after their increases, Mokina and Orland at?
I could pull it up.
Okay.
I would need
No, it's all right,
a second
though.
to pull it up.
I
Yeah.
was just curious,
Well,
we went over this about a month or two ago, so
Yeah.
it was,
Yeah, but since you're not voting on it at the board meeting, so for the next meeting, can you please provide the board prior to what Mokina and Orland will be?
I do, I just opened it too.
Oh.
I was able to find it.
Oh, if you got it,
I did
great.
have it open, so.
you're efficient.
And this is just a per 1,000 gallon rate, so again, it's very, hard to be completely apples to apples, but breaking it down per 1,000 gallon. Orland Park right now, I believe, is at 821 per 1,000 gallon. And then Mokina is 844. And then even with our recommendations, we'd be at 733, so we'd still be lower.
Okay,
Thank you.
very good. Thank you, Hannah. Trustee Mahoney?
I appreciate all the hard work and effort that's gone into this. This isn't an easy move, so thanks for the behind-the-scenes work. It's greatly appreciated.
Trustee Shaw?
I just had a few points here. First of all, I appreciate that you guys met with us, everybody involved, John, Hannah, and we asked a lot of questions. I know I did, and asked you to run a lot of different scenarios, and so I appreciate doing that. This is, raising rates, that's not going to be popular with anybody. But I think it's really important to note all the work that went into this, not only what you're seeing here, but a lot of other work that's not visible. I wanted to just make sure that a couple of points are really stressed, and Trustee Brady mentioned it over there. since 2014, the consumer price index has gone up 30%, I believe you said. And we have not raised rates since then. And you mentioned just briefly about enterprise funds, and I'm not going to go into much detail on that. I'd embarrass myself in front of Brad over here. But as I understand, the purpose of the enterprise funds, they're at a minimum supposed to break even, right? And ours.
Self-sufficient.
Self-sufficient, there you go. So ours, not only has it not been covering expenses because we've had to pull in and fund it from the general fund, so we're not booking for the future, and that includes not spending what we should have been on infrastructure. I just want to make sure I got all those points correct, right?
Correct.
Okay, I think that those are critically important. And also, just so that it's crystal clear, residents have seen increases on their water rates since 2014, but those have all been passed through from Oak Lawn, right?
Oak Lawn or Chicago, correct,
Okay.
yes.
All right,
All related to the supply cost.
exactly. Yeah, so that's not Tinley Park raising it, we're just passing through the expense of what the cost is of the water itself. Okay. And I appreciate that there's going to be a education campaign to talk to people and explain all that. So I just wanted to make sure that those points were, you said them all. I just wanted to emphasize them for the public that this is what we've all been looking at. So,
Yeah, no, thank you, trustee Sean. Just to kind of reiterate the point you were making a little bit more about the enterprise funds. I didn't want to put too many more numbers on the slides, but if you look in the budget too, in past years, in fiscal year '23, I believe we slated almost $3.85 million in transfers out of our operating fund to go into the water funds, just to kind of make sure that we're able to cover our basis and add a couple more projects. So we're making transfers. That money could be used for other general operations, et cetera, when these funds truly should be self-sufficient.
Very good.
Are you done?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
that wasn't enough?
No,
You know me.
I'd just like to reiterate, I think the public education, concept of this, I think is gonna be huge. I think that, this is, I think that was one of our biggest concerns as a board. And, I appreciate all your guys' input and, wherewithal to get that done. So I know that was number one priority for us, so. But I think the mayor wants to add one more thing, so.
I
Go ahead,
do.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Bill. And again, just to reiterate how fiscally responsible this village has been, it's been an honor for all of us and this board. I've been on here since 2017, along with Mr. Brady, and then a couple of years were 2019, then 2022 and 23. Every year, I usually help about 300 people with their real estate taxes. I don't charge them, I just do it because, like, trying to help them save money. One of the people that contacted me for the 2022 tax year, because the assessor has increased them a large amount this tax cycle, but to show you prior to that on how phenomenal this village has been, we're trying to keep our tax portion of it. So two residents that I'm helping right now in Bremen, in 2008, their tax bill was $6,272. And I have been helping them appeal them for the last 4 years. In 2021, there were $5,155. So after 13 years, their taxes have actually gone down almost $1,100. And a lot of that is obviously from the work that's done from our finance department, all the years that Brad has led us at the helm as the treasurer, and our current staff and our former staff. So I want to thank all of you for that. If it wasn't for our administration and our board of making sure that we always cut costs that we need to, that we don't need, I commend you and thank you. And then another fellow resident that I'm helping who's also going to get a significant increase. But unfortunately, in 2009, their tax bill was $6,754. In 2021, their taxes are $6,313. They've also gone down over $400 in 2012.
and I've looked at the Orland and some of the other communities, there's no one that's had their taxes go down at that significant, or held at least flat over that many years. Yes, there's some anomalies where some people, maybe they did a big addition, or they got, 500, 700 more square feet, and they've had bigger increases. But if you're stay diligent with appealing your taxes every single year, and with the cut of spending that the village and the staff does, we've held the line. And if you look at any house and you do a 12-year comparison of most of the houses, your taxes are not going up as much as some people say they are, and most of it unfortunately come from the school districts. But fortunately, the village, and again, thank you to Brad for the 37 years and 4 months that we had you at the helm, and our current and former staff in our finance department, and all the departments across, we've done a phenomenal job. And if you pull up all your neighbors' taxes, you could see that they have barely moved, if any. Unfortunately, this year, the assessor this reassessment is really hitting hard on Bremen Township side, and Rich and Orland Township are going to follow, but it's at nothing that, we've done. It's unfortunate, but we just have to keep staying diligent, keep fighting and appealing your taxes. And you could see over the comparison of the last 12, 13 years of most of the homes, they don't really go up that much. So again, that's just to add to the, with the water study and how it piggybacks off of what Trustee Shaw was saying. They haven't raised the water rates since 2014. So Brad and staff and everyone always made it work, so I appreciate it, but the costs have gone up significantly, and it's unfortunate. We don't want to, but we have no choice because we just keep transferring too much money from the general fund to pay for the lapse, and those funds are getting low. So thank you, everyone, especially our staff, for all the hard work you guys do to help us keep our budget as low as we do. So thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Any other questions or comments about the water study? There are none. So
Staff will just kind of get to work. It sounds like we've kind of know the direction we're headed. We'll get to work and ultimately start preparing ordinances to bring before the board here in the next couple of meetings.
Okay. Very good. What's that?
Any questions for Burke while they're here?
Yeah, do you guys have any questions for Burke while they're here? Is there anything you want them to add? No? No? Sure?
Yeah, just generally, we believe this is a step in the right direction to help you guys get back on track.
Very good. Excellent. Well, appreciate you guys coming out. Well, very good. Well, thank you so much. We'll look for the items on the coming agenda. So, moving on, item number 16, is there any comments from the public? Would anyone like to address the committee of the whole? I see none. Okay, is there a motion to adjourn the committee of the whole?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Trustee Shaw. Is there a second? Is there a second?
Second.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Brady. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll for adjournment?
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Very good. We are adjourned at 6:45 PM.